Welcome back to Jake Breaks and Hot Takes. Today we were going to talk to you about red flags, and apparently we still don't know what we're doing, and it's going to continue to be like this forever and ever.
We have information here. We don't have the source because some of our researchers don't remember to take the links down, but you'll just have to trust us that this is reputable. I mean, it's got somebody with a PhD on it, so...
I can't help it. I mean, I'm the one who's doing the research. Quickly.
Alright, so, red flags. Let's do, I think a definition would be good.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know what a red flag really is, and that's really just... What it's describing is it's a warning signal, or it's a sign, or something that should draw your attention to that is potentially not a good thing.
No, we got a list here, and we're just going to go down the list, kind of talk about it, give our opinions or an example in our lives.
And there's no particular order on it either.
Yeah.
I just kind of went and grabbed and...
Well, I think this is a good one because it's general. On the first one, they rush into a new relationship forward too quickly. And popularly referred to as love bombing, this red flag isn't necessarily about the new partner who says I love you too soon or who wants to move in together after 5 dates. Love bombing becomes worrying when one person is trying to manipulate the other into a situation of dependency.
I wonder if we know what's that.
I'm really trying not to throw him under the bus straight away.
You got me to deal with him.
Yeah, well...
I'm just calling him out for what it is.
Yeah, and well, here's a good list of things. That's kind of vague, I think. But excessive compliments, spending too much time together too soon, constant gifts, texting, emailing, calling many times a day, asking you to spend time with them rather than friends, mirroring all your interests.
That one is so true. Oh my gosh. When I was with my ex-wife, I lost every friend I had. No idea. I didn't even know what a red flag was at that point in my life. But yeah, I lost all my friends. The only friends I had was her.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of the thing with people who are trying to get you dependent on them. You got to limit the amount of people you're around so that you don't have somebody in your life going, this person isn't good for you. When's the last time you've done something for yourself?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so the second one we got is they describe all their exes as crazy.
Oh, I saw one that it's the excessive interest in your background, life, and interest, which kind of goes back to they want to know everything about you to use it against you.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. And then, like I was saying, the second one is they describe all their exes as crazy. I've ran into it a couple of times, and
yeah,
if all your exes are crazy, it doesn't matter if they are a good person or a bad person. They're still going to be. I mean, they still call the cops and say that you try to do something to them that they didn't want. Before you know it, you're in handcuffs to lose a job.
Well, it's like you've had one isolated incident where that really did happen.
Yeah.
But I always say it to people I know: if every one of their exes was crazy, the problem's probably with that person and not all of the exes.
Yeah, that I would agree. That's chances are it's them, not the exes. And then the rude to people in the service industry, I thought it was a little weird at first. Because everyone I've ever known has always been polite to everyone in the service industry.
I have known some people that were not, and I think this is just an indicator of if you treat a stranger like that, someone you've never met, how are you going to treat somebody that you know and that supposedly either looks at you fondly or you're attached to?
Yeah, and so I never even knew that could have been a potential red flag. Now these red flags, though, they're not saying they're deal breakers right away, but they're just things to look out for, and it'll tell you about your partner's character as a person too. So let's just jump onto it, because I think that one's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, let's.
Now this is with all the online dating. I guess it's because it's so popular.
Oh yeah.
But here's a little interesting tidbit about online dating. 70% of users are men.
Huh. It's funny you should mention this because I was watching, they did a thing on that AshleyMadison.com, the whole affair thing. And that was their problem. 90% of all their users were men. And I don't know if this would make sense.
Same thing for Bumble, Tinder, what else is there? OkCupid.
I don't even know that. Hinge, I think, is a big one.
Hinge. Yeah, and it's... But, their dating profile doesn't match who they are. So, that's really self-explanatory. They just start out of the gate lying.
Yeah, well, and it also kind of shows how they might curate their image, because they do like this one relationship coach was, well, actually a doctor in psychology, but if your date calls himself like an avid hiker, but it turns out he only wants to walk the paved paths along the golf course, it's worth taking note, just because.
That's not, I ain't hiking.
No, exactly. I
would describe you as a avid rock climber.
Yeah, well,
I know you actually go out and climb.
Yeah, 4 times a week. So yeah, that's exactly. That would probably be something that I want to put on my profile in case significant other isn't okay with that.
Other than Jesus with a beard.
I like this next one because I think, especially for women, this is a big one that sometimes they think is normal. And that's the way they express anger makes you feel unsafe. And they even say anger is normal, and if you're in a relationship, it's pretty much guaranteed that there will be times when you want to bury your face in the nearest pillow and scream. That said, if your partner gets so angry, they punch a wall, break a household item, that they have the potential to escalate these behaviors in the future. And that, how do we, they got the words here, but basically what they're saying is if they can't control their anger in a healthy way, it's only a matter of time before they direct it at you physically.
Oh yeah,
I think is
I
really
even admit to, like, I used to have anger issues, but I think that's a more of a male dominated trait.
Well,
but here's the thing: is a lot of it more so is it's a flash of anger, and then that's it. It's over.
Well, and I think too, especially in America, because I've had this done to me. That's one of the only acceptable things that men have is like you can't be upset or you can't be sad and express those in healthy ways
without going off the hinges.
Well, exactly. With people being like, "Why are you crying? You know, stop being a bitch. Grow up. You know, man up." You hear it. So people are completely fine with, you know, you throwing something or motherfucker. All this anger is one of those acceptable emotions, but there's a time and a place for it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are also taught with the whole anger thing is how to control it. And that was a hard thing for me because with the ADHD and with my history and whatnot from my biological family, that right there, you want to see a fuse that doesn't have a fuse? So it's taken a long time for me to get to the point with the level of anger I have now. I'm more like, if I get aggravated at a game, I still put the controller down sometimes a little hard, but you know what? I can walk away. I'll delete the game. I am that level right now. I am happy with that. Like, and if there's any times like me and Tad, like, we've been working on that. It's like, and that's just being, hey, let me just walk away for a few seconds, and that's all it takes just to reset that switch.
Well, and kind of going back, I like this next one. It seems kind of innocent, but it's a big one, and that's they don't listen to you. Because we've talked about it before.
That translates to they don't care about you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that translates into.
Yep. Well, they even say communication is key in a relationship. And if they aren't listening to what you're saying, or they want to downplay it or twist it around your view not being valid, that's another thing going back to control.
Right. Control, manipulation. And like, if people don't know what to look out for, I mean, we have our shining example of a star. We're gonna have to put a poster of him up here soon.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned some of these terms, some of these red flags to him before, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, okay, dude, I get you into an all boys military school, but
that's kind of like an abusive relationship, though, in a way, really. So maybe that's kind of how these guys end up in situations like that, because the military, they do all these things. You got to break them down to build them up stronger. And it kind of is like a huge red flag. If your significant other treated you the way the U.S. military treats its recruits, that's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
This next one is also pretty big that I think gets downplayed a lot, and that's they push your physical boundaries even in, quote, innocent ways. And this is a big one. Like, the example they give, does your partner refuse to stop tickling you when you tell them to knock it off? Do they continue to touch you in seemingly innocent ways like hugs, shoulder rubs, or even repeated poking you in the arm like a sibling when you ask for personal space? And this is another example we talk about setting our boundaries a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one where if you've told them and they're not respecting that, how far is it before, they're wanting to do something else and they figure, she always says no or he always says no.
Yeah,
this is actually a huge one. And it really does. And all these things can start out very small and innocuous. And
Yeah,
most
it's just-
manipulators do that.
Yeah, because then it's just something that you're used to over a period of time, and then you don't realize what you gotten yourself into.
Yeah, and by then they've isolated you because, going back to number one, you don't need those friends. I'm here for you all the time, honey. I'm the one who really cares.
Yeah. You don't need your bros.
Yeah, exactly. Or the sisterhood, because, those bitches, what they said really mattered. They wouldn't all be single. Hey.
You know what? That's true. I tell you another little fun part about that too is if all their friends are married and you're the unmarried one, you'll end up being married. It's a group mentality. It's a herd mentality of thinking.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No.
Whereas because that's where a lot of cheating happens is one person cheats even though they're married or whatever it may be, and then
going back
to Misery Loves Company.
I was going to say, and going back to our poster boy for all these things, that's kind of the behavior that his significant other is trying to use. It's not just me; it's all these people too.
Yeah, and that right there just shows like one, either you're very weak-minded or weak-willed, or two, you just really don't give two shits.
Yeah, there is something going on. Another one, and this is kind of a big one because this kind of goes to your subconscious, and it's you're hesitant to introduce them to your friends.
I think that is a major red flag because if you're not willing to introduce your significant other to your friends, like early on in the relationship, fine, I get it, but later on down the road, a few months and whatnot, then if you're nervous about it, you should probably not be with this person.
Yeah, because usually if you're friends with someone, they share a lot of similar traits.
Yeah.
And if you're hesitant to introduce them to your friends, then you probably subconsciously are very hesitant yourself, and maybe you feel because going back to it, they started to isolate you, or it's like, oh, when they're great, they treat me well and all this, at least on the surface. They don't listen to me, but they give me compliments like, oh, you are so dumb, you can't even live without me, but I love you. Which,
that's horrible. There's a lot of unpack just from that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, and going back to that, and if after you've introduced them to your friends don't want to spend time with them, that's a huge one, too.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Your friends will tell you, especially if you have real friends. And that's another subject, too, is if you gotta be able to differentiate your real friends from your fake friends.
Well, and I think the biggest thing on that is real friends are comfortable enough in the relationship to disagree with you. Because it's very easy to constantly be affirming to people, even whenever you see.
I've always kind of looked at it like a kind of a business arrangement, and you're since you're like the CEO, then you have your CFO and your usual people, that ring of people, and then you have your outside ring, and then you have your like your associates, middle management,
flunkies.
Okay, yeah, we'll just call them associates.
Yeah,
but so the people you want to listen to is in that first ring of people, or your real true friends. Yeah, I might be friends with other people that are far outside of my reach or I don't really talk to, but those are more like your associates.
Yeah.
But so those are the people you don't want to listen to because they don't really know you, but you have your real friends that you do that really will know you and tell you exactly. Go, hey buddy, you might not want to do this.
And this is a big one on this. Going back into more detail here, love can be blind. That's one of the common sense. Yes. So if your friends aren't wild about your new partner, that could be a great reality check. This person recommends asking the people who know you best. What are you seeing in this person that's giving you pause on wanting to spend time with them or getting to know them? Be prepared. The answers might be hard to hear, but getting them ultimately is important because it's great to have an objective opinion on someone from the outside because when you're in it...
And then just as a man, though, you got to be able to set that criticism as well.
That's another thing.
Because if you're unwilling to set that criticism, you're not going to listen.
No, this is a big...
A big part of it is being able to listen to others, being able to look for stuff from the outside in.
Well, I think people sometimes get really invested in a relationship very quickly, and it's like that sunk cost fallacy. Well, I've already spent this much time with this person. So
what it is too, they might not have ever gotten attention like coming up through high school, being in their 20s.
And I think a lot of women too get into situations like that where maybe, they came from a home that put them down and everything else, and this guy's the first guy that comes along and he compliments me, and because they're so used to the negative, they only focus on the positive parts and they don't see, he's doing the same thing. He's just as abusive, just in a different way.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So what's
We're
our
up
next
to
one?
10, and I think this
We're
is
on 10. Holy crap.
yeah, this is a huge one though. They put you down even in a teasing
you
way.
just use that as an example too, and that right there, it's so true.
And I love this first one because how many times do you hear this? I mean, there's a whole subculture of YouTube videos that are kind of like this. It was only a joke, or not magical words that erase hurtful insults. It's like the prank channels. Whenever it goes too far, it's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank.
No, you're getting your ass kicked.
Yeah. And these are all good. Excessive sarcasm, a mean sense of humor, or jokes that regularly point out your flaws can represent a, quote, non-consensual way to leverage power in a relationship. And that's true, because you build yourself up by putting this person down. I think this is a good time to talk about there's a difference between, like you and me, we joke around a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But we know each other enough. The things that we make jokes about are surface level enough that they don't hurt us.
Yeah, no. It just brushes off as something funny. We know we don't mean it. And that's one thing. That's what I really like about our relationship is we can be fucking mean. If outside people saw our relationship, like, how do these two like each other?
Oh yeah, but the nice thing
meanest sons of bitches in the world.
We both know actual sensitive issues, and we don't poke that because that isn't cool. It comes from a place of respect, and it's great if you're in a relationship where you can banter and all that. But just make sure that it's stuff that you both are comfortable with, and they're not in a quote funny way, just stabbing your insecurities all the time.
Yeah, and that's an easy way a manipulative person can get into that, because we're just messing around, and it's like if one person's feeling uncomfortable about being messed around like that, then there's an issue.
Oh, and here's a great one. There is an important difference between couples who, quote, roast each other in a consensual, fun way, and a partner whose jokes make you feel bad about yourself.
Like, I'll tell you this. Taz got me out one day, and I was funny. She needed to get around me. She's like, can you move your big old belly? And I've been playing it. I told her, I looked right at her. I said, I'm never going to let you live this down. And it's all in fun. So anytime now I get around her, I'm like, oh, hold on, let me move my big old belly here. And she's like, I was only kidding. I was like, it's all fun now.
Yeah.
I know I need to lose a few pounds, but...
Well, that's something she knew you weren't sensitive about it. It's like, a big example for men would be, hair loss is such a big thing in men. And, if you're noticing thinning hair, you can bring it up in a good way. But if your partner's constantly taking jabs about your bald spot, that might be a sign that it's trending towards abuse.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And all of this is just like kind of like a little signs to look out for to where it can evolve into that. And then it should be able to act as a guide for you to whether you want to stay in that relationship. And it doesn't even have to be a relationship. It could just be a group of friends. You can use it for just about anything, even your parents.
And another example for women, I don't think you should be pressuring people into cosmetic surgery. I hear this is somewhat semi-common.
Really?
Yeah, in relationships.
I've not had to deal with that.
Yeah, where boyfriends will try to pressure a girl like...
Wait, are you talking about pressuring the woman?
Yes.
Okay, that I have heard. I thought you were meaning...
No, that... But
that I've heard, and that if that ever happened, just walk away.
Yeah, no, that's...
Your ass is fine, your boobs are good.
And...
that kind of stuff you only should do if you want to do.
That's exactly it. Now, if you want to, I think your partner should be supportive as long as you understand that there are risks associated with all that, but that's your choice. It should stay your choice.
The day I found out whenever I had 2 receding hairlines when I was getting my hair cut. And the lady's like, I didn't really want to tell you. I was like... I wish you didn't.
Yeah.
It's like, what's wrong with you? But they were cutting my hair just fine as it looked like this since I was 20 years old. You're going to tell me I got receding hair? I was like, what? No. That's not true.
Got to start making,
go
plans.
Hair plugs in.
Yeah, the William Shatner, yeah. I don't think Irish Mr. Clean would be a good look.
God, no. Yeah, but look, you can see where they are.
Well, I don't know.
But that's because my hair grows down like this.
Yeah, you got a widow's peak, though, but that's not necessarily... unless it's pushing back.
Oh, no, it keeps going back.
Okay, then.
So, when I go get my hair cut short, you'll see them a lot more prevalent, but whenever the hair grows out, it comes down in front of it, and I don't look like I'm getting old.
You got the reverse Donald Trump comb over.
Yes.
Instead of going back, you're going forward.
Oh, God. Well, speaking of that, that's just gaslighting, isn't it?
I'm really, and we're gonna go over this one actually a lot because this is one I think even if you aren't super into psychology, you've heard gaslighting, and I think it's one that's not necessarily always used correctly.
And you want to know what else too? I'm guilty of not using it correctly. Our poster child had no idea what the word gaslighting meant.
Yeah.
You know how much of a vocabulary lesson I had to give him in like the last 2 weeks?
Well, it's sad because I know gaslighting has been around for a while, but I think we're gonna stick to the doctors here defining it because it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, let's go with that.
So gaslighting is an emotional manipulation where your partner twists reality, making you doubt your perceptions through denial. And things like this, quote, "I never said that," or blaming you, "You're too sensitive." Not only is it abusive, but it's also very difficult to identify. The partner waving this red flag may use the other partner's vulnerabilities against them. Going back to one, wanting to know everything about you. And let's see here. Making the gaslit partner believe that they are to blame for whatever the problem is. You see this a lot in physical abuse. Where, and I'm going to say the guy, because it's usually more common for a man to physically abuse a woman.
Well, will say, act like that, I want to hate you.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to have to teach you a lesson.
Right. Or like, if you would just do your job, then I wouldn't do this. So that's a big one. Let's see here. This is a big one. Because gaslighting can leave you second-guessing yourself, Dr. Padgora advises seeking the support of people who make you feel safe, like a therapist or a trusted loved one, to discuss what you're feeling and get more clarity on partner's behavior.
Or I'm going to add to this, and it's going to sound crazy, Reddit.
Yeah, that's actually not bad in that it's an unbiased opinion at least, and even
some of the ones I've scrolled through and the stories I've listened to on there, people are very objective. And especially in the relationship ones or am I the asshole ones. And then they not only they tell you, then they list reasons 1, 2, and 3.
No,
usually.
I would actually say like with the am I the asshole one, those can be the best because they're semi-comical. And I feel like those people aren't super invested in a narrative. So I've seen a lot of interactions, you're right, where it turned out that people were saying, they go, no, not only are you not in this situation, this relationship isn't a good relationship. And like you say, broke it down into examples like this right here is textbook gaslighting. Where like I saw one where, and this got me, it was a female and her roommate was a guy who said he went through, mechanical vocational school and all that. And she needed an oil change, and she just casually mentioned, he's like, oh, I could do that. And so she let him. She figured, okay, well, if you want to do it, because he said, oh, I'll save you the money, blah, blah, blah. And the next morning she came in, turned her car over, every check engine light came on, car immediately shut off,
oh my God.
Went to the mechanic. Well, you're going to love this. And it turned out he drained her transmission fluid and then overfilled her oil. Completely destroyed the drivetrain. So now she was asking him for money, obviously, and he's trying to gaslight her about, well, why? I was just trying to help you out. And she's like, well, you led me to believe that you could do this.
Yeah, you knew what you're doing. Like, I mean, granted, an oil change shouldn't be hard. Every person should know how to do an oil change.
Well, and this is a big thing for, I think you should teach your daughters, change a tire, how to do their oil.
And I'll even admit, I don't change my own tires, but I know how to do them. But here's why. Because if you get stuck on the side of the road, the jack and strap, it's all from China.
Oh, yeah.
And last time I tried to use one, I bent the tire iron.
No, I know. I
had
have.
to wait. I didn't have a choice but to wait. But you still should have that kind of knowledge.
No, and it's definitely, I think, important.
I taught Tabs how to do the oil.
Oh yeah, no.
Like she doesn't do the oil, but anytime I go to do it, I was like, hey, how do you do the oil? And she'll tell me. I was like, good, you know how to do it and whatnot.
Yeah. No, and that's stuff like that's important because even if they don't do it, at least they'll know because women are so easily played upon at the mechanics of, oh, we replaced your blinker fluid and all these things because, Daddy never told them, hey, look, these are electronics. They don't run on fuel.
Yeah, my favorite is when I was still firefighting was we had a wood magnet. You know how many people, I even fell for the wood magnet. And now, mind you, we actually had a piece of wood in our engine. It says wood magnet with a string attached to it.
Oh, no.
So when these people try to find it, like, what do you mean it doesn't work? I'm like, go get the wood magnet. They're like, what do you mean there's no such? Yes, there is. So we actually had the physical thing. Like, well, oh, you want to know how it works? And we give them this whole spiel on how it works. And we had this one piece of wood that if you brought it down correctly, because we put fishing line, so you can't really see.
You're David Copperfield. This is what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, and we lifted it right up. It's like, see, it works. And we let them believe that for like a week or two.
Oh my god.
Especially if we got a fire and we go get the wood magnet. We need to move wood.
Oh.
People hated us for that one, but it was funny. But there's certain rights you gotta go through. But stuff like knowing how to change the oil and all that, that is something I believe everyone should know how to do.
No, and that's I feel like too many life skills have become gendered, where these are just things that everybody should know. You know, you probably ought to learn how to cook if you're a man, because you're going to be single at some point.
Yeah, no, oh god, you should. I wish I knew how to cook.
Yeah, exactly. But
I never learned. I also didn't really have much of an interest, but I should have at least known
basic
how to do
stuff.
more.
I know. I feel bad.
I should not have been stopped at TV dinners.
Well, I was into cooking whenever I was a teenager, and then I stopped doing it, and the confidence level stayed, because, you know, I'm like, oh yeah, I could make this before. And I tried to cook something the other day. I'm like, how long before you flip a burger patty again? I was having to Google this shit.
On thickness, it's
yeah, exactly. And I was sitting there going, okay, this definitely is a skill that you need to practice. This is you need to cook regularly.
Oh yeah, especially when it comes down to your meats, because everything. I mean, there is a bit of a clock to go by, but most of it's just you eyeball it.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, because you're right. You really did do some research. There is a lot of stuff and a summary.
Welcome.
And next one, I think this is kind of self-explanatory. They're prejudiced. You know, if you're dating someone that expresses, you know, overtly racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic views, this can be a big red flag to abusive behaviors, because, you know, if they'll marginalize a whole group of people.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, a lot of people, I'm gonna kind of add on, maybe disagree with you a little bit, is that everyone's that way, at least to some extent, and that's just because of how society is in like today's. I mean, look at growing up, you had the Pakis, you had the Italians. You know an Italian, because you can tell by their big nose, you know they're Italian.
We do love our casual racism in this country. It's
But yeah, I mean, we can describe a group of people very easily. Like, just go watch the Rescue Me. What was it? Sensitivity
training. Oh yeah, no. It's unfortunate.
They I think we hit every single. I think the Puerto Rican guy was more pissed that there wasn't enough slurs for him compared to the black guy.
What always gets me on sensitivity training is, instead of trying to talk to people and be like, hey, that's not cool, sensitivity training is weirdly racist in itself, because it introduces more vocabulary. So you're suddenly going, I never knew these were other stereotypes.
I didn't know zipperhead existed.
Yeah, no, and it's terrible, because, I feel like it, in a weird way, reinforces bad behavior. Like, if you're a bad person, it's not going to make you less bad. It's just going to give you more ammunition.
Oh, God, yeah. But, I mean, what I'm saying is, it does exist in all forms from everyone. Even to a little bit, tiny extent. It doesn't necessarily I don't think it makes you a racist or a sexist or anything like that. But it's just a culture of what people have been around, but there's also identifying factors about yourself. Like, oh, he has a big nose. I know the guy's probably Italian. He has a big nose and he's full of hair. He's definitely Greek Italian.
Oh my god! All right, let's just the next one. Wait,
seriously, look at Mario. Look at Mario.
Oh god!
Okay,
Mario's literally a Japanese stereotype of Italians.
He still has a big nose. Look at the picture.
This is a good one. Number 13. They respond poorly when you take time away from them. We've all been in that fluttery stage of a relationship where spending every moment together feels like you're living inside the Crazy in Love music video.
Oh god, that's the honeymoon period.
Oh yes, exactly. And that's but what happens when that fades? Dr. Sinagari notes that spending too much time with your partner can make you lose your sense of self and your support system. And this is a big one. Taking space for yourself in a relationship is healthy, and is paying attention to how your partner responds when you do. If they pout or guilt trip you or get angry, Dr. Sinagari says, these behaviors could represent an inability to manage discomfort or point to possessiveness, which that one's a huge one in a relationship. Possessiveness is really bad, because that's a huge controlling behavior.
Oh god, yeah.
And if you
like
aren't
you're mine, you're no one else's.
Yeah, and if they aren't secure enough to let you go out
If
with your
are
friends,
calling you and telling you that you're pussy whipped, you might want to look at that in a different direction.
oh yeah,
That's not necessarily a
no.
good thing.
If your man doesn't let you leave the house without video surveillance, or you having to send text messages, are you still with your girls? There are no men around. I'm at a Hooters eating. There are a lot of men in Hooters. Yeah, but I don't think they're here for me. I don't think they're here for me. These are situations that are unfortunately common, and I feel like in a lot of relationships that aren't necessarily a healthy dynamic.
No, not at all. Like Tabs knows like my views like with like strip clubs and whatnot, and her sister, for her bachelorette party, one of her friends is taking her to a strip club, and she actually asked me, she's like, "Are you okay with me going to a strip club?" I said, I looked at her and I said, "No." Going, yes, but you need to watch out for your sister. I trust you, but I don't know what's going to happen with your sister. But then again, I don't know her sister well. I mean, her sister isn't, as far as I know, isn't that kind of person. But I don't want her sister to end up in a situation.
Well, it's an environment she doesn't really understand, because I think she's
really naive.
Yes,
from my understanding.
Right, and that's why it's always good.
And I just got done talking to Taz about it. I was like, look, if you run into any issues whenever you go out with her, call me. I'll be there immediately. I'll take care of whatever needs to be taken care of.
I think a good example of a healthy version of this is like, all you guys have iPhones. You share your location with her.
Yep.
She knows this. This isn't a hidden thing. You know where she is.
The whole reason we got to share our locations with each other, she gets lost in Pittsburgh, so I called her. She goes, "I'm lost." I'm like, "Okay, where are you?" "In Pittsburgh." "Where at in Pittsburgh?" "I don't know." Like, "Okay, what's right?" "I don't know." "Are you in an alley?"
Which, if you've never been to Pittsburgh, being in an alley is a very strong chance if you've taken
Usually
a
it's a street.
Yes. We don't talk about what you people call streets here, because no, that.
So I at the time though, I told her, I was like, you know what, just share your location. As soon as she did, I was like, oh, you just need to go down the street, keep going straight, go 2 lights, make a right, make another right. You'll be right back on 376. You're good. Straight shot home, go across Fort Pitt Bridge, up the hill.
This is a big one. They rely on you as their sole support for serious mental health issues or past traumas. Yeah.
Folks, it is not your problem to be their therapist.
No, and
you can help. You cannot be their therapist.
No, and I really like how they present this. And it's not that people with trauma can't have great relationships. They absolutely can, Dr. Senegari notes. The same goes for people with mental illness. And to be clear, it's not that people with trauma or mental health issues can only have wonderful relationships when they're completely, quote, healed, or some other similar and potentially unattainable benchmark. I'm going to add my own 2 cents here. That is 100% true, but if you know you have a problem and you aren't actively seeking help for it, then it does become your problem. Because I want to separate mental illness is not an indicator of you as a person or your self-worth or value. But if you know you have an issue and you're actively not trying to get help and you're avoiding it, then it does start to become a problem, because you know you need help and you cannot rely on someone who does not have that toolkit to help you.
Yeah, and like, I'm lucky enough, I don't have a big interest in psychology. I think it's a fun thing to explore, but the only reason I've learned so much about it is because of my ex-wife, and with her being just a grade A level psychopath.
Yeah.
Post-borderline personality disorder, and you look that one up, you're going to need a whole 2 books just for that.
Oh, it's a lot.
It's vicious.
I do like, they do give some suggestions here if you are the one with mental health problems, and also how you can help someone with them. A big one is this: are they self-aware about how their trauma or mental health issues affect themselves and others? That's a big one. Are they receiving some kind of support or otherwise trying to heal? Seeking this kind of help can look like going to therapy, attending support groups, progressing through mental health workbooks, or even forging strong friendships outside of your relationship. That's another one. You should not be their sole point of contact. It's very important for them. All my friends know what my problems are, And I ask them to make sure that if they notice me behaving in a certain way or if I'm seeming to be unstable, to let me know.
Like today, if you weren't going to make it in today, I would be like, yeah, man, what the hell's going on? Because you missed twice in a row, and that's not like you. I know the one day you slept, but I was like, to me, that's a quick warning sign going, hey, you know what, Rich is might be falling off the path here. I'm going to go kick him in the balls.
No, and it's serious. For me, I find structure and routine to be very important for me feeling normal and good about myself. So that's my big red flag. If I start breaking routines, like, I do online games with some of my friends, I go rock climbing at least 3 times a week. I try to do this with Zach twice a month. If I start moving where I'm not doing that or I feel like I'm shutting down, that's a big indicator for me that I need to make sure that I'm doubling down on what I need to be doing.
Oh, this is going to be one of my favorite ones right here coming up.
Oh yeah, that's going to be good because this is a red flag in both directions.
Oh yeah.
But I want to skim through this, and I think
everyone should have a good network, and I think there's a lot of mistrust in people, and I've heard this before with therapists, is even though you're above the age of 18, say, but my therapist is going to get me locked away, and that can't. A lot of people don't understand that's not unless you're right there jumping off out of their office window.
There are
on the third
very
floor.
few states that can force a mental health stay.
Yeah, and that's a lot of. I think one big thing is people don't understand is that they can't force you to do anything you don't want to do.
I do like this. Now this is for the other.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you one more time.
Sure.
When you first get to your therapist, treat it like an interview. You're hiring them for a job. If they don't fit for what you need, find somebody else. Yeah, and don't be afraid to.
That's true. Your personalities have to jive at some level as far as you should feel comfortable with this person and feel like the advice that they're giving you is helping you move forward in the direction you want to be.
Yeah, I know if I go into therapy and whatnot, I know for a fact I want my therapist you're being a dumbass. And just fucking crack me in the head with a ruler or something.
Well, no, and you are not one for nuance. So someone more direct is definitely going to be better than someone who tries to dance around it or get you to come to a conclusion. I'm just going to bookend it with this because this is important. Dr. Sinigari emphasizes that it's important to ask yourself about what you want the relationship to go, and if you have the energy, patience, and a strong foundation to actively work through these issues together. Remember that it's not your sole responsibility to do so, and that if you or your partner's only support, it's likely going to make the relationship very, very difficult.
Oh, God, yeah.
Now,
that's very true. I mean, that one is pretty self-explanatory.
That one got a little heavy. This one's a little lighter, I think.
Yeah, I like this one because they're at a very different stage in life, and you see this a lot, I think, with the. We'll just use ages for an example. Is a person who's 18 is going to be a very far different place than the person, say, who's 30.
Yeah, and it's a big red flag to me when I see a guy who's, let's say, 40, dating like an 18-year-old, because you're wondering, you've mentally never moved past that.
Yeah, because, I mean, right there you're already, because what I think it's called now is grooming.
Yeah. It's definitely very borderline to it, and yes.
Just because they're an adult doesn't mean you should necessarily date someone who's just an adult.
I'm in my mid-20s, and I would not go anywhere near an 18-year-old.
I followed the 5-year-old.
Yeah, I'm one of these people. You have to be paying for your bills.
Hey, babies. Thank you. You going out shopping?
Thank you.
All right, have a good one, babies. But anyways, wow, we'll have to edit that part out.
Yeah.
That big spot. Anyways, but yeah, no, with the different stages of life, and sometimes I try to follow a 5-year rule. I myself, I know I like a younger woman. Mainly because I'm just fucking old and I'm people guys, I don't know. I don't want to. People who are older than me in that 5-year mark, usually they already have a kid. They're a single mother, and that in itself could be considered a red flag. And
it really depends on the circumstances.
It really does. I mean, I know I've dated people who had kids, and obviously it's never lasts.
No, it's a mixed bag.
It's more of a friends with benefits, hit it and quit it kind of deal. But for a relationship, it's very unstable. And it's not the fact that she has a kid and she's made the kid the first priority. You got to understand why and how the kid came to be.
Yeah,
because if it came from a really shit environment, it's not going to get any better unless she's definitely gone through some heavy self-improvement. Yes,
though the environment that went to that decision needs to change for just the child itself, and that's a whole thing to unpack. And definitely it's not a red flag in and of itself, but that on top of other things,
it's definitely something to look out for.
Yeah, it starts to fit a pattern.
Exactly. And then also too is I'll use it financials.
Yeah.
Because the older you get, the more I think the more financially responsible you become. I mean, I've really fallen in that path of saving money and whatnot. Now the younger you are, you're like, fuck this, we're just gonna blow money on blow and hookers, and
I will not date anybody who does not pay all their own bills and has a house payment or something of the like and meets it. If she's got bad credit or he's got bad credit, don't do it. My dad was like that, ruined my mother's perfect credit. She's still bitter about it.
Oh God, yeah, God. All right, I think we kind of hit that one pretty well.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's jump over to this one. They need constant reassurance.
And this kind of can interplay in with the serious mental health issues and past traumas. If they constantly need to be validated, that isn't your job. You should never have to be that person's self-esteem.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something me and Taz. I keep using Taz as an example, but me and Taz has her own confidence. She has her own self-esteem, and she's in very well control of that. I mean, she comes to me and like, "Hey, do I look good in this? Hell yeah, you look fucking good in it." And that's one thing I like. But I don't give her self-esteem. I showed her a way forward to gain confidence for herself and try to helped her with that.
Well, and in a lot of cases, from what it sounds like to me, she may have had self-image issues, so it's more just trying to get her to see herself in a favorable light, or at least a realistic light.
Oh yeah, and I think that also comes from probably from her ex, though, is just of a pattern of abuse and whatnot.
A lot of gaslighting.
Oh God, yeah, that guy is fucking. Oh.
Yeah. But I like Dr. Sidigari's on this. She explains that a partner who needs constant reassurance puts a lot of pressure on you and your relationship, and that issues of confidence or codependency are not problems you'll be able to solve for your partner. Again, it makes all the difference if your partner wants to grow and do the hard work to build their sense of self-worth, whether on their own and with your love and encouragement, with a therapist or some other form of support. It's not, you can't put a Band-Aid on a bullet hole, people.
No, and that's one thing I think a lot of people don't realize, even young men, is they don't know how to make their own self-worth and how to build themselves up. Some people get it and they become very successful, but it's that self-worth is really discovering it in with yourself and really understanding it as early as you can.
Well, and I think a lot of problem with men right now, and you see this with the manosphere, is instead of tying your self-worth intrinsically to things that you represent or things that make you happy, you tie your self-worth to external factors. How many women am I able to sleep with? How many cars do I have? This very materialistic view that can make you feel very bad.
It's presented as a, I have all these materialistic things, I must be successful, I'm the man, and just inflates the ego, and that's a whole, an ego, that's going to be a whole other chapter for us.
That's definitely one that, we'll have to...
But, so we'll use another episode of, definitely go on about the male ego, and that's definitely, I think, a very good thing. But, that's pretty much, what is that, 16 of them?
Yeah, we got kind of, there is some points I'd like to hit. Oh, we're already at the...
We're going to keep going.
Okay, yeah. So, in a relationship, this is just kind of a recap. Isolation. In a healthy relationship, your partner would encourage you to pursue your own interests, goals, and dreams. They would make time for their own friends and family while also giving you the space to maintain connections with your people. Should never try to shrink your sphere of people. Should never try to make you feel bad about spending time with your friends. That's an important relationship in and of itself. Another big one.
All right.
There we go.
Pardon our interruption. We had to take a quick break. So, Rich, you were saying, though, about a couple of things here for a minute?
Yeah, we're wrapping things up, but I just wanted to touch on a couple of things because a big one, we kind of mentioned it before on domestic violence. They do cite, according to the CDC, as many as 41% of women and 26% of men experience one or more types of intimate partner violence throughout their lives. This can include stalking and refusing to take no for an answer, additional forms of psychological aggression, dishonesty. Your partner frequently lies about who they're texting or where they're at when you ask them. Things like this. Sometimes harmless white lies might be told to save someone's feelings or to make yourself look great on the first date, though there are often better ways to handle the situation. That's a big one.
Lie.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of expanding on blurred boundaries. It isn't just physical or emotional. It can also be financial. Your money is your own and shouldn't be dictated by your partner unless both of you agree that it's easier to have one partner manage the money. Budgets and large financial decisions should be made together.
Oh, God, yeah.
This creates
about that first part you were saying is, I made a mistake the first time. Is I got a joint account with my ex-wife, and when we started going through divorce and all that, I had enough money in there to cover my car payment. She went and took that money. Mm-hmm. I missed my car payment. And then I had to go and fight her to get it back, and she said, well, it's my money because it's our account. I can do whatever I want with it.
Yeah, another one of my friends, they had a good idea because they had separate finances for everything. They were legally married,
And
but they had one joint
slush
account. Yep, for they knew exactly that they each needed to put $1,000 in their account for living
And
expenses,
cover all your
mortgage,
bills and all
Yep.
that, and that's what
split it
passed up
straight
on.
down the middle.
Exactly.
And if they found out that they both could save $400 a month, they got a refi on the mortgage. And what they did is, so now then, instead of putting $1,000 in there, we each put $600, and we're good. I think that's a really good way to do it because it takes the pressure off.
Oh, God, yeah. And I'm a firm believer anymore is that what is mine, and what is yours is yours.
You should never feel...
And what we need to work together on, we'll work together on.
Yep.
And, all right, what was the other part of this?
The last one, and they have this because this is a big comorbidity with trauma and mental problems, is excessive alcohol usage. Study after study has linked overconsumption of alcohol to gender-based violence. Now, we're not saying every alcohol user is an abuser. That's definitely not true. But if someone can't control their alcohol usage, it's likely they can't control other things in their life, including their emotions. This is also a big sign of possible mental health problems with self-medication.
Well, there was us.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a big one. Other than that, I feel like...
I even told my brother this, is that I wish I would have had a better group of friends. I was closer with a lot of people whenever I was going through my 2-year bender. Because if someone said, hey, you know what, just come to the gym instead of drinking with me, and just kept pushing me on that, or just do something different than other than just drink, I would be in a far better place.
And this has kind of been a longer episode, but I'm just they list kind of temp poles of what relationships should be about, and I think we'll just end it with this. Going at a comfortable pace. Nobody should be pressuring you to do something you don't want to do in a relationship. Building trust. Being honest. Having independence from each other. You are two whole people outside of the relationship. You should never think of yourself as one half of a whole. You are two people who enjoy being around each other.
Exactly. And you still gotta have your own life. And that way, you guys still gives you something to talk about, still have something in common, you can tell each other about your day. Not, oh, I've been home, all I did was scrub dishes and sleep.
Yeah, I'm recovering from the last beating you gave me.
Yeah.
Valuing each other's beliefs. Feeling balanced. Being caring and compassionate. This is a huge one. Taking responsibility.
Oh, gosh.
If someone can't admit that they were wrong and truly apologize, that's a symptom of a whole wide...
And it's a hard thing to do at times, too. And
yeah.
It can be for simple shit. And I'll admit, I do have that problem sometimes, but you know what, you gotta do it, though.
I have been in situations, not even romantic relationships, where I was convinced. I was convinced I was right. And you have that crap moment when you see it. You know you were wrong. You've been railing on this person for the last 15 minutes because you knew you were right.
That's when you just get like, you know what? Yep, I'm done.
Yep.
You got it.
Yep. And having to look at that other... And thankfully, my friends, for the most part, excluding Zach, are big enough people that they just accept it without reminding you for the rest of the day about your own incompetence and making you feel bad.
Yeah, we don't do that to one another.
This is a big one. Having healthy conflict. You should be able to talk out your problems without people getting excessively angry or threatening physical violence.
Yeah, be able to walk away and come back to it.
Yep.
Definitely.
And the last one, this is huge. Having fun. That's why we're in relationships. All your relationships should be fun.
Yeah, if you're not having fun, then like maybe you got some stressful shit going on, but you still have to have fun somewhere in there. Because shit can get real bad sometimes. But
Oh, yeah.
if you're in a really good relationship and you guys are, we'll just keep using having fun and are good with each other, you'll make it through.
Oh, yeah.
It just sucks for a little bit, but then it gets better.
In a relationship, you should be able to lean on that other person when it gets bad, and they should feel comfortable leaning on you. If there's a one-sided power dynamic where you're giving them all your affection and attention and they are never giving you anything when you have problems, that's a huge one. But I think we covered a lot of ground here. This was the first...
Let's pop off on this last one too real quick because we got a couple minutes. How are some things you do to start... What are some things you do when you start seeing these red flags? One is just know what your limits are, because some red flags are acceptable. It's not every red flag is a deal breaker, and I hate when people do that.
Oh,
and you're never going to find a limit. Everyone has red flags.
Two people, they consider a lot of things red flags, like, chewing with your mouth open is not really a red flag.
No, it's just annoying.
That's exactly right, but it shouldn't be a deal breaker. Snorting when people laugh. That's one of those things that,
Like it happens.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. No, red flags in the psychological definition really are, did they take your credit card during the first week and put a bunch of expenses on it?
And then it's your fault.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's a red flag. That's also a felony charge.
Yeah, then analyze and assess you feel true admiration and respect of the relationship. I'll build on that a little bit with too is you got to be able to look at yourself and remove yourself. And there's this term I think is called astro imaging, and that's what you got to do with yourself. Literally separate yourself and look at yourself in a black and white yes or no kind of way.
Well, we're going to do an episode on self-esteem because I feel like your image, your self-image, and your self-esteem factor in hugely in relationships that you think are acceptable. If you don't think you're a good person and you don't love yourself, you're not going to be in healthy relationships because you're not going to attract people who are stable that love themselves.
Yeah, and then what else we have on here? Choose people who show positive traits early on, which it does say a lot about the person because they're not wallowing in their own shit.
No, you probably don't want to date the guy who started bum fighting.
Yeah. And then what else?
Always trust your gut. That's kind of...
Yeah, that's self-explanatory.
I like this one, though. Don't be afraid to ghost them if it's not safe to express your feelings or exit the relationship. This is a big one in abuse. If it's becoming a pattern, leave. Try to find an exit strategy, but don't be afraid to just leave.
Yeah, and even if you're just like met the person one time, 2 times, or a few times, whatever it is, and you see these patterns of behavior, just walk away.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with walking away.
You do not owe this person anything.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of people also have an issue with that. Oh, I know this person, now I'm invested. You're not invested. You don't know the person.
No.
But yeah, I think that's a good place that we can leave off on for now. And until then, everyone keep having fun and as in taking responsibility. I was right. Peace.
Yeah.